Good morning. It is Thursday, April 23, 2026. This is your Deep Dive Daily Briefing. I am your anchor, delivering a comprehensive analysis of the pivotal events that have defined the last 12 hours. We begin our broadcast on the world stage, where the strategic landscape of the Middle East has entered a period of extreme volatility following the nominal expiration of the 14-day ceasefire. Overnight, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz reached a critical flashpoint as Iran fired upon 3 commercial vessels, intensifying its assault on the world's most vital energy waterway. This escalation occurred just as President Donald Trump announced an indefinite extension of the United States ceasefire with Iran, an extension that Tehran has yet to formally acknowledge. While American and Israeli airstrikes remain paused, the maritime threat has surged, with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard enforcing its own restrictions in direct retaliation for the ongoing United States blockade of Iranian ports. These developments have severely complicated diplomatic efforts in Pakistan, where an intra-regime power struggle in Tehran has so far prevented a unified proposal for a lasting peace treaty.
Transitioning from the front lines of conflict to the broader global economy, the shadow of war is now being formally quantified by international institutions. The International Monetary Fund, in its latest World Economic Outlook, has officially downgraded its 2026 global growth projection to 3.1%, down from 3.4%. This revision reflects the structural toll of higher commodity prices and the persistent instability of maritime choke points, which have sent gas and food prices skyrocketing globally. Economists at the fund warn of a rising defense burden, with military outlays now increasing by an average of 2.7 percentage points of GDP globally. This trend toward fiscal dominance is particularly pronounced in emerging markets, where rising debt and eroding policy buffers are creating a slow and uneven recovery that depends critically on a sustained peace that has yet to materialize.
In the realm of finance, all eyes are on the sovereign debt markets as they process the implications of a prolonged period of global instability and record-high debt levels. Institutional investors are closely monitoring the rising fiscal deficits associated with wartime spending, which the IMF projects could increase public debt by as much as 14 percentage points in conflict-affected economies within 3 years. Despite the overarching tensions, there are signs of a divergent reality in domestic lending. For instance, United States mortgage rates have seen a modest decline, with the 30-year fixed rate settling at 6.3%. However, this relief for consumers is contrasted by the hawkish undertones of the broader financial sector. Risk-off sentiment continues to lead to a moderate tightening of global financial conditions, as the market weighs the impact of sticky inflation and a global debt pool that now exceeds $315 trillion.
Turning our attention to the technology sector, the focus has shifted toward the massive infrastructure requirements of the AI revolution and the resulting strain on global power grids. Industry reports indicate that data center electricity demand is on track to more than double by 2030, with energy infrastructure, not computing capability, emerging as the defining constraint of the era. This insatiable appetite for power has driven a historic pivot toward nuclear energy. Tech giants including Meta, Amazon, and Google are now acting as active financiers for small modular reactor projects to secure dedicated, off-grid power for their AI-optimized servers. However, the IMF warns of an AI productivity lag. While investment remains historically strong, the actual productivity gains are currently arriving too slowly to fully offset the massive geopolitical and energy shocks rippling through the global system.
Finally, we look at the logistics and supply chain networks that serve as the vital arteries of global commerce, which are now facing immediate cost escalations and structural rewiring. Shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz remains mostly halted, with only a fraction of the usual 140 daily vessels passing through under strict coordination rules with the Iranian Navy. This de facto blockade has forced major ocean carriers to implement emergency fuel and energy surcharges, with some reaching as high as 11% in Northern Europe. Military planners from more than 30 countries are meeting in London this week to draw up detailed plans for a multinational mission to reopen the strait. In the meantime, the industry has largely abandoned lean, just-in-time inventory models in favor of resilient, high-cost buffer strategies, accepting a new reality where the safety of traditional maritime corridors can no longer be guaranteed. That concludes our global briefing for today. Thank you for joining us.